Everyone, this is Mrs. J, and I'm doing a read-aloud of Ramayana Divine Loophole by Sanjay Patel. We're on Act 2, Jungle Drama, which starts on page 41. Forest Dwellers. What do you do when you have 14 years to kill? Well, for starters, Rama, Sita, and Lakshman decided to hit the trails and explore the forest. They walked south until they came to the remote Dandaka forest in central India. As they entered the forest, they sensed that the entire area was safe and sanctified by an unknown source. All three marveled at the sights of the forest and inhaled the pleasant smells of sandalwood. The sweet aromas drew them deeper and deeper into the forest, until they came upon a colony of monks who lived and prayed in the forest ashram. Hermit Handouts. Lakshman introduced Rama and Sita to the monks as the exiled prince and princess of Ayodhya. All three were welcomed with great reverence, which was soon replaced with a desperate plea. The monks explained that the jungle was cursed with demons against whom they had no defense. Rama and Lakshman knew their duty as warriors and promised to serve and protect the colony. In exchange, the exiles were given shelter in the ashram along with divine gifts. Sita was presented with a sari made from strands of pure gold and precious jewels. A wizened sage named Agastya then bestowed on Rama a miraculous bow crafted by the great god Vishnu himself. Rama was also given a single golden arrow that could transform into any number of divine weapons of light and sorcery as he willed it. Finally, the sage unsheathed a magnificent sword with a silver scabbard that could fell any demon and presented it to Lakshman. But Agastya quickly cautioned that these were weapons of the gods, and their special powers would only work in defense of an attack, for they were not meant to start violence. For the next 13 years, Rama, Sita, and Lakshman wandered from ashram to ashram in the jungle, personally ensuring everyone's safety. They stayed in each ashram for several months at the time, and in turn, the monks taught them about the bounty of nature. Over the years, they became experts in all variety of plants, trees, roots, and animals. Once, Rama went so far as to name an attractive variety of custard apples after Sita, calling it Sitafal. In turn, Sita did the same, naming a different color of the same fruit, Ramafal. Eventually, the three built a cottage in the lush hills of Panchaviti. They found comfort in their routine and lived peacefully under the watchful eye of the great guardian eagle named Jatu. Little did they know their journey was about to come to a surprising end, all because of Rama's good looks. Fatal Attraction. One day, a demon named Supernaka, who happened to be Ravana's sister, spotted Rama and fell in love with him. I know, gross, but hey, demons have hearts as well, even if they want to eat everyone else's most of the time. Luckily, the shape-shifting demon wasn't hungry, but she was love-struck, so much so that she transformed herself into a beautiful maiden and tried making a pass at the Blue Prince by showing off some of her dance moves. But Rama couldn't be tempted, for he was far too in love with Sita, who, as luck would have it, stumbled upon the awkward situation. Nosey Demon. The moment Supernaka caught sight of Sita, she flew into a jealous rage. As her body and face started to swell up with dark blood, she revealed her true demon form. Her deformed body was hulking in comparison to the delicate frame of Sita, who stood frozen at the horrible sight. The demon bared her fangs and raised her claws toward the princess. But before Supernaka could strike, Rama intervened. He told the demon that if she would leave and promise never to return, her life would be spared. As he waited for her response, Lakshman burst upon the scene brandishing his sword, ready to chop the demon down. But before Lakshman could strike, Rama ordered him to lower his weapon. Supernaka cursed the three of them and swore that she would destroy Sita when their guard was down. The creature's words enraged Lakshman, and he sent his sword flying, cutting off the demon's nose. Howling in pain, Supernaka fled from the jungle. The crisis was averted, or so they thought. Supernaka was seething with rage and hurried back to her brother Ravana's lair. She spoke cunningly to Ravana in hopes of fanning his fury. She explained what happened and how it was only a matter of time before Rama and his brothers marched toward his domain and destroyed his throne. The demon knew this mortal was special, so he took no chances. Ravana commanded his chief to gather his entire army of thousands of demons and make ready for war. Supernaka personally led the death squad to Rama's doorstep to reclaim her honor. Divine Arrow. Back in the jungle, Rama got wind of the trouble marching toward his doorstep. He immediately instructed Lakshman to take Sita to a nearby cave and guard her until it was safe. Rama armed himself with the bow of Vishnu and strung it as tightly as possible. As the terrible demon army approached, they raised a cloud of dust that obscured the skies and turned day into twilight, heightening the Nightwalker's powers. The trees all around Rama's cottage shook as thousands of glowing eyes slowly emerged from the shade of the jungle. The gruesome demons charged at Rama with all kinds of dreadful weapons, but the prince stood his ground, raising his golden bow and notching it with the enchanted arrow. He drew the bow back so far that it formed a near perfect circle. The blue prince summoned up his training from the great rishi Vishvamitra and closed his eyes while speaking the Gayatri mantra, thus invoking the infinite power of the sun to his aid. He held the bowstring taut until the wave of demons was upon him. Rama prayed, knowing that he faced thousands of foes. Luckily, a single enchanted arrow was all the blue prince needed to even out his odds. For after the special arrow was fired, it instantly multiplied into thousands of arrows that flew in every direction, casting a veil of death upon the landscape. The terrible weapon leveled an entire patch of jungle, decimating the demon army. Countless demons were pinned to the earth by the deadly missiles, and their axes, maces, and sickles all lay in shattered and ruined. After fully meeting its mark, the golden arrow reappeared in Rama's hand, ready to be used again. Aftermath. Far away in the capital city of Lanka, Ravana was surprised to see Supernaka back in his court. The demon brought news of Rama's victory over the jungle demons and goaded Ravana into believing that his own throne was truly in grave danger of being toppled by this mortal. The demon king looked into the future and was stunned to see his army fallen and destroyed at the hand of Rama. Supernaka then cunningly told Ravana about Sita and her incredible beauty and devotion, which piqued Ravana's interest. He had stolen many beautiful maidens to populate his harem and was always delighted to make another conquest. Ravana wasn't too sure what sort of magic tricks Rama still had up his sleeve, but he wasted no time in crafting an evil plan of kidnapping and revenge. Life returned to normal in the jungle as nature wiped away all the evidence of warfare and the hills began to blossom once again. One day, Sita spotted a very unusual creature. It was a deer unlike anything she'd ever seen. As the creature moved, its pelt shimmered like pure gold. Holding her breath, Sita moved slowly as possible and extended her hand toward the deer. Just then, Rama and Lakshman approached through the trees, startling the deer. In one easy hop, it vanished into the jungle. Still mesmerized, Sita begged Rama to catch the animal for her. Lakshman, ever cautious, told his brother there was something odd about that deer. Rama agreed and asked Lakshman to stay with the princess and guard her with his life while he retrieved the animal. Year of deception. As Rama chased the deer farther and farther away from the cottage, he grew suspicious and decided to shoot it down. As the creature fell, its disguise slipped away, revealing its true identity. It was another demon, Ravana's uncle, Maricha, and even as it lay dying, it laughed at Rama for falling into the trap. The demonic deer grinned, oozing blood from its mouth, and told Rama that today he would atone for his previous crimes. The prince had no idea what the demon was talking about, which was no surprise to the demon, since Maricha knew that the prince had forgotten taking the life of his mother, Tataka, while training with the Brahmarshi. Maricha had waited for years for this day and finally felt he was on the verge of avenging his mother's death. With his last breath, the demonic deer told Rama that now it was his time to face his karma and then cried out for help, imitating Rama's voice perfectly. Instantly, the blue prince realized he'd made a grave mistake. Abduction. The false cry of distress echoed off of the trees, reaching Sita's ears. The princess panicked and ordered Lakshman to go and save her husband. But Lakshman did not budge, for he knew it was his duty was to protect Sita. He assured her that Rama could take care of himself. Outraged, Sita became hysterical and begged him to rescue Rama. The princess swore that if he did not help him, she would kill herself. Reluctantly, Lakshman gave in to Sita's pleas and ran into the jungle. But before the prince left, he used his sword to inscribe a protective circle around Sita and their home. The moment the princess was unguarded, Ravana, who was hiding nearby, approached the cottage, hatching a plan to lure the princess beyond the boundary of her protection. Inside the cottage, Sita meditated and prayed for her husband's safe return. As she sat in contemplation, she heard the sound of a bell. The princess rushed outside, hoping it was Rama, but instead she saw a sannyasi, a penniless wanderer, at the edge of the clearing. Sita greeted the stranger and brought water and food to the old man to eat, as was the custom. Her graciousness was not returned in kind. For the moment she stepped out of her protective circle, the man transformed into the demon king. Sita froze at the sight of Ravana's 10 horrible heads. The demon snatched up the princess and sped away on his chariot. Valiant Eagle. As tears streamed down Sita's face, she called out as loudly as she could for Rama and Lakshman. But it was no use, for now they were flying high above the trees. Fortunately, the demon's chariot flew right over Jatu's nest. The majestic eagle flapped its wings, took to the air, and in moments was in pursuit of the speeding demon. Swooping in front of Ravana's path, Jatu demanded that he abide by the code of the kings and release Sita at once. But Ravana had no intention of honoring this code. The demon took up his bow and began firing arrows at the eagle. But Jatu flapped his mighty wings, causing a mini tempest that deflected the arrows. The eagle clawed at the chariot with his mighty talons and snatched Ravana's bow, shattering it easily. But Ravana would not be bested by this mighty beast. With a powerful swing of his sword, the cruel demon cut straight through the eagle's wing, adding yet another crime to his notorious list. The mighty eagle fell from the sky as Ravana's chariot streaked across the horizon and disappeared. Search for Sita. By the time Rama and Lakshman figured out what had happened, Sita was long gone and the guardian eagle was dead. Rama felt defeated, but Lakshman urged him not to give up hope. Together, they began looking for the princess. As the brothers made their way south, they entered the jungle kingdom of Kishkanda, where they came upon a couple of monkeys and a bear. The furry creatures introduced themselves as Hanuman, the white monkey, Sugriva, the exiled king of the Varana or monkey tribe, and Jambavan, the black bear and clan chief. The brothers were relieved to tell their story, recounting their exile and the kidnapping and the starting of their quest to finding the missing princess. The animals felt sorry for Rama and offered to help. The warriors were surprised by their generosity, but didn't think a few monkeys and a bear could be much help finding Sita. Sugriva and Jambavan assured Rama that he would also have the help of their families. Their entire families. And so both the monkey and the bear tribe searched high and low for a month. But Sita was nowhere to be found. Monkey God. When the search party reached the southern tip of India, Sita had not been located. Everyone lamented at their inability to cross the ocean and continue the search. Even Hanuman was left scratching his head. Luckily, the old bear Jambavan had an idea. He didn't know where Sita was, but he knew a secret about Hanuman. In his youth, Hanuman had been cursed with the inability to remember how powerful he was, in order to keep him from using his powers to annoy the meditating sages. Jambavan decided to break the promise he'd made to the gods and whispered in the monkey's ear, telling him he was no ordinary monkey, but he was in fact the son of the wind god. Instantly, Hanuman's divine powers were restored, transforming the monkey into a giant and sending him head up toward the clouds. From his new vantage point, Hanuman easily spotted Ravana's palace upon the island of Lanka. Hanuman squatted down, coiling up his energy. With a look of determination, he shot forward toward the ocean, and then in one massive step, he leaped off the tip of the continent. As he jumped, he shouted, Jaya Rama, or victory to Rama. In a booming voice, he was airborne. Then the group on the beach gazed in amazement as the Varana was now flying straight toward Lanka, the land of demons. Princess Prisoner. Before landing on the demon island, Hanuman shrank himself back down to the size of an ordinary monkey so that he could sneak into Ravana's palace. There, he followed the faint sound of sobbing coming from a small grove of Ashoka trees. Stealthily making his way through the foliage, Hanuman saw several ogresses guarding the hunched form of a crying woman. Despite her gloom, she was clearly a goddess whose luster was obscured beneath a veil of grief. Hanuman had no doubt that he had found Sita, and he smiled, knowing that the search was over. Just then the garden doors burst open and Ravana entered, demanding that Sita become his queen or wind up as his dinner. Ravana gave the princess 1 month to decide. That night, after everyone was fast asleep, Hanuman approached Sita and explained that Rama had mobilized an army and was preparing to rescue her. Sita turned away coldly, thinking this was yet another one of Ravana's disguises. Undeterred, the Varana told Sita that the Blue Prince had not forgotten his oath to always protect her, which was symbolized by the wedding ring she gave him. Hanuman then took out the ring, which Rama had entrusted to him, and presented it to the princess. Sita recognized it right away, and with tears of joy now streaking down her face, she blessed Hanuman for renewing her hope. Burning Tail. Excited to bring back the good news of Sita's discovery, Hanuman was caught off guard as he was leaving the palace. The demons quickly surrounded the Varana, who stood unarmed with his palms joined in a gesture of peace. With spears and swords held to his throat, Hanuman humbly surrendered and politely explained that he was an envoy with an urgent message for King Ravana. The demons bound Hanuman in chains and brought him before the demon king. He respectfully told Ravana that Rama had raised an army and that he would fight for Sita's freedom unless she was released. Each of Ravana's many heads laughed mightily at this news, and his eyes flared with rage. His teeth flashed as he declared death to Rama and death to this messenger. The demon king then deemed that since this messenger was clearly a spy, he would be tortured with fire first, smelling his own flesh burn. Looking Hanuman over, the demon decided to burn what was most precious to a monkey. He ordered that the Varana's tail be set on fire. Hanuman's tail was wrapped with oil-soaked rags while the guards waved torches near his face, taunting him. Then slowly a flame was brought near his back and then down the tip of his tail. The Varana's lips trembled, but not with fear that moved his mouth. He was chanting a mantra over and over again. He whispered Rama's name. Rama, Rama, Rama. Finally, the oil-soaked rags were lit on fire, but before Hanuman could feel pain of the fire, he used his divine powers to extend his tail, keeping the flames far away from his body. The spectators stared at the growing tail, confused and mesmerized by the sight. Snapping from his chains, Hanuman flicked his winding tail to and fro, setting Ravana's court ablaze. Hanuman jumped across the roofs of Lanka, his long tail dragged behind him, leaving a trail of fire as the entire city was set ablaze. Taking flight once again, Hanuman could see that all of Lanka was engulfed in flames, but deep within the fire and smoke there was one patch of safety where Sita was being held. Confident that he had fulfilled his mission, Hanuman finally let his extensive tail dip into the ocean, extinguishing the flames. The proud Varana then leaped toward home, buoyed by the satisfaction of destroying Ravana's capital city.